Case studies in eclectic astrology, planets and nakshatras for Callista. Ketu in Purva Bhadrapada, 4th house, Lord of 12th. Ketu in the 4th house in Purva Bhadrapada brings a detached and mystical relationship with home, mother, and inner emotional security for Kalista. This position reflects past life mastery over spiritual traditions and inner worlds, often indicating a soul already seasoned in emotional withdrawal and deep metaphysical insight. Being the lord of the 12th house, Ketu also extends its spiritual theme to matters of isolation, meditation, and emotional surrender, turning the home into a possible sanctuary or a place of deep spiritual retreat. Purva Bhadrapada, with its duality, mysticism, and intensity, fosters a deep connection to sacred teachings, yogic disciplines, and transformative solitude. Kalista may feel naturally pulled toward spiritual service within the home or feel an unspoken distance from family, especially the maternal line. Her inner world is rich with symbolic meaning, and dreams, sacred spaces, or intuitive healing rituals may be primary sources of emotional nourishment. There may have been emotional disillusionment or instability in early domestic life, leading to a lifelong quest for internal emotional liberation. Yet this detachment brings strength. It allows her to be emotionally present for others in ways that transcend conventional expressions of care or comfort. Drawing from the planets and Nakshatras insights for Ketu and Purva Bhadrapada, past life mastery in sacred rites, occult practices, and ancestral spiritual disciplines. Natural withdrawal from worldly fame, drawn to deep mystical insight and sacred service. Life path revolves around restoring lost spiritual teachings, particularly through emotional healing. Inborn psychic connection to symbols like rain, serpents, fire rituals, and ancient sacred temples. Emotional and spiritual highs for Kalista arise when she surrenders to her soul's deeper purpose, quietly offering emotional service, connecting to rituals, or aiding others' emotional rebirth. Lows occur when she feels emotionally scattered, isolated, or overly detached from human vulnerability. Ultimately, Ketu and Purva Bhadrapada blesses Kalista with a soul-centered, emotionally sacred, and spiritually disciplined inner world, empowering her to transmute emotional abandonment to inner sanctuary and to find emotional fulfillment through timeless wisdom, sacred solitude, and intuitive service. Jupiter in Pushya, 8th house, Lord of 1st and 4th. Jupiter in Pushya in Callista's 8th house grants her profound emotional wisdom, healing potential, and karmic authority in dealing with transformation, secrecy, and ancestral power. As Lord of both the 1st house, self-identity, and 4th house, emotional roots, home, Jupiter becomes the guiding force of her emotional and psychological makeup, bringing strength, nurturing, and expansive insight into life's deepest transitions. Pushya, ruled by Saturn and symbolized by the nourishing udder, offers spiritual protection, emotional steadiness, and selfless service. When placed in the 8th house, Jupiter in this nakshatra gives Kalista a natural ability to bring comfort and wisdom to others in times of crisis. She may serve as a silent pillar of strength during emotional upheaval, loss, or deep change, holding space with quiet reverence. As the first lord in the 8th, she undergoes personal transformations that deepen her emotional maturity and sense of purpose. As 4th lord, her emotional sanctuary is hidden. She may find peace in solitary study, occult knowledge, or nurturing others through psychological or spiritual crises. Her healing presence may manifest in therapy, astrology, or working with ancestral or karmic themes. Drawing from the planets in Nakshatras insights for Jupiter in Pushya, spiritual teacher energy rooted in care, discipline, and karmic nurturing. Inborn ability to support others during transitions, grief, psychological rebirth, or identity loss. Wisdom linked to past life caregiving, priesthood, or spiritual guardianship. Karmic strength lies in emotional containment, patience, and sacred knowledge of suffering. Emotional and spiritual highs arise when Kalista allows herself to be a vessel of healing, not through display, but through sacred listening, nurturing touch, and protective emotional presence. Lows occur when the weight of others' burdens or suppressed grief becomes too heavy without adequate outlets. Ultimately, Jupiter in Pushya blesses Kalista with a deeply maternal, spiritually wise, and karmically rooted emotional intelligence, empowering her to transmute pain into transformation and to find fulfillment by guiding others through the sacred process of emotional and spiritual rebirth. Moon in Ashlesha, 8th house, Lord of 8th. Moon in Ashlesha in Callista's 8th house weaves emotional depth with intense psychological insight, karmic memory, and profound inner transformation. As the ruler of the 8th house placed in its own domain, the moon becomes a powerful force for emotional regeneration, ancestral inheritance, and intuitive mastery. This placement often signals an individual who feels life's emotional undercurrents acutely and is drawn, willingly or not, into the emotional labyrinth of others and herself. Ashlesha, ruled by Mercury and symbolized by the coiled serpent, carries themes of emotional entanglement, psychic intelligence, and healing through psychological unraveling. With the moon here, Callista experiences emotions not on the surface, but in coils, spiraling through memory, family karma, and subtle energetic impressions. She may have a penetrating emotional radar and can sense unspoken dynamics in relationships, often absorbing the emotions of others without consciously realizing it. Being the 8th lord in the 8th, this moon intensifies her need for privacy, emotional containment, and soul deep connection. It also suggests that her emotional growth comes from facing taboos, confronting vulnerability, and releasing inherited emotional patterns, often through symbolic healing, ritual, or therapeutic work. Drawing from the planets and Nakshatras insights for Moon and Ashlesha, karmic link to emotional secrecy, ancestral memory, and serpent lineage healers. Emotional transformation occurs through uncovering and releasing family conditioning. Drawn to emotional mysteries, trauma work, energy healing, or esoteric traditions. Protective emotional instincts that can become possessive or withdrawn if not balanced. Healing gift through emotional intuition, but needs clear boundaries to avoid enmeshment. Emotional highs arise when Callista embraces her intuitive depth and uses it in sacred service, whether through therapy, deep relationship work, or mystical healing. Emotional lows appear when she becomes lost in emotional entanglement, overwhelmed by inherited emotional burdens, or when trust has been broken. Ultimately, Moon in Ashlesha blesses Callista with emotionally transformative, psychically attuned, and karmically deep emotional intelligence, empowering her to transmute emotional entrapment into soul liberation and to find fulfillment through intuitive mastery and sacred emotional healing. Saturn in Purva Phalguni, 9th house, Lord of 2nd and 3rd. Saturn in Purva Phalguni in Callista's 9th house places the weight of karmic responsibility, delayed wisdom, and ethical leadership squarely on her belief systems and higher purpose. As Lord of the 2nd house, speech, values, family, and 3rd house, communication, courage, siblings, Saturn weaves her voice and intellect into her dharmic journey, transforming how she teaches, speaks, and transmits knowledge across time. Purva Phalguni, ruled by Venus and symbolized by the front legs of a bed, is associated with rest, pleasure, creative partnership, and emotional fullness. Yet Saturn here tempers those qualities, bringing discipline to joy, refinement to relationships, and a long, steady path to emotional satisfaction in philosophical or spiritual work. Callista is called to cultivate devotion, not through ease, but through structure, study, and service. As 2nd Lord in the 9th, Saturn suggests karmic tests around expressing her beliefs. She may have had to work hard to find her voice or to be respected for her moral or spiritual ideas. As 3rd Lord, her communication may carry weight and wisdom, especially when speaking about love, justice, or creative responsibility. Teaching, writing, or mentoring roles that require deep inner work are likely themes. Drawing from the planets in Nakshatras, insights for Saturn in Purva Phalguni. Karmic journey of reconciling pleasure with purpose, creativity with commitment. Delayed confidence in speaking or teaching. Mastery arrives through endurance. Wisdom teacher energy connected to themes of love, beauty, and ethical devotion. Potential ancestral karma around misuse of sensual or artistic gifts. Strong voice in spiritual communities once trust in self is earned through trials. Emotional and philosophical highs arise when Callista honors her role as a guide, one who brings sacred structure to creative or emotional topics. Lows appear when joy feels restricted or when perfectionism silences her natural grace and insight. Ultimately, Saturn in Purva Phalguni blesses Callista with a slow-building, creatively disciplined, and dharmically anchored voice, empowering her to transmute emotional longing into refined wisdom, and to find fulfillment through service-rooted beauty, devotional leadership, and karmic truth-telling. Rahu in Uttara Falguni, 10th house, Lord of 3rd. Rahu in Uttara Falguni in Callista's 10th house signals a powerful karmic drive to establish herself in the world through leadership, public visibility, and service-oriented purpose. As the functional lord of the 3rd house, via dispositor sun, this Rahu links her communication, courage, and self-effort directly to her career path. It imbues her professional life with charisma, ambition, and a subtle hunger for recognition. Not for ego, but for meaningful impact through structured responsibility. Uttara Falguni, ruled by the sun and symbolized by the back legs of a marriage bed, is a nakshatra of legacy, social agreements, and long-term commitment. Rahu here intensifies the desire to contribute something enduring, to lead ethically, to reform systems, and to rise in roles where loyalty and responsibility are honored. Callista may feel destined to lead, teach, or mentor, but this path is often unconventional, requiring her to overcome inner doubts and societal expectations. As 3rd Lord in the 10th, this Rahu gives her a bold voice in public platforms. She may pursue writing, speaking, or strategic roles where expression and visibility meet service. Yet her voice is karmically tested. She may alternate between overexertion and retreat until she finds a sustainable rhythm rooted in authenticity. Drawing from the planets and Nakshatras insights for Rahu and Uttara Falguni. Karmic mission to serve through status, leading through integrity, not ego. Drawn to careers in law, education, healing, or systems reform. Natural ability to influence others through structured speech and reliable presence. Potential early struggles with imposter syndrome, followed by karmic elevation. Soul growth comes from balancing ambition with service and power with humility. Vocational highs arise when Callista embraces her role as a public servant or leader, building trust, stabilizing systems, and using her visibility to support others. Lows appear when she loses clarity amidst ambition, or when approval becomes more important than impact. Ultimately, Rahu in Uttara Falguni blesses Callista with a purposeful, service-oriented, and publicly empowering karmic path, empowering her to transmute ambition into sacred leadership and to find fulfillment by embodying stability, responsibility, and soul-aligned success in the public sphere. Venus in Swati, 11th house, Lord of 6th and 11th. Venus in Swati in Callista's 11th house grants her a graceful, socially magnetic, and diplomatically intelligent presence within groups, friendships, and long-term goals. As Lord of both the 6th house, service, health, conflict resolution, and the 11th house, gains, networks, aspirations, Venus weaves beauty, refinement, and emotional nuance into her public connections and visions for the future. This placement suggests a karmic calling to harmonize through collaboration and to bring artistic or healing sensibilities into service-based roles. Swati, ruled by Rahu and symbolized by the wind-blown blade of grass, emphasizes freedom, adaptability, and negotiation. Venus here becomes a social diplomat. Callista likely moves gracefully between social groups, often acting as a connector or peacemaker. She may have a soft yet persuasive influence, especially in emotionally charged group dynamics, and has a knack for uplifting others through charm, kindness, or aesthetics. As 6th Lord, Venus brings refinement to conflict resolution. She may resolve tension in subtle, non-confrontational ways, often favoring harmony over aggression. As 11th Lord in its own house, it enhances her ability to form meaningful, emotionally resonant alliances that support her material and emotional goals. Drawing from the planets and Nakshatras insights for Venus in Swati, charming mediator energy, gifted at diffusing conflict with beauty and grace. Karmic ability to harmonize diverse social groups or networks. Drawn to aspirational circles, especially those focused on creativity, wellness, or justice. Tendency to offer too much in relationships, must learn to receive and set boundaries. Potential for gains through diplomacy, healing arts, or aesthetic-based service. Emotional and social highs arise when Callista uses her presence to build beauty into collective goals, whether through artistic vision, conflict mediation, or empowering alliances. Lows may arise when she overextends in service or becomes too reliant on external approval within group settings. Ultimately, Venus in Swati blesses Callista with an emotionally attuned, socially elegant, and harmonizing group presence, empowering her to transmute social tension into graceful connection and to find fulfillment through artful service, collaborative vision, and emotionally intelligent leadership. Sun in Anuradha, 12th house, Lord of Ninth. Sun in Anuradha in Callista's 12th house offers her a soul deeply attuned to emotional loyalty, spiritual devotion, and hidden leadership. As the Lord of the ninth house, Dharma, beliefs, higher learning, the Sun connects her life philosophy and spiritual path directly to themes of solitude, emotional surrender, and karmic dissolution. This is the placement of the quiet torchbearer. She leads not from the stage, but from the shadows, through inner integrity and soul service. Anuradha, ruled by Saturn and symbolized by the lotus rising from mud, brings depth, perseverance, and emotional discipline. The Sun here gives Callista a quietly magnetic presence, one shaped by emotional testing and devotion to a higher cause. She may carry the energy of a guide or mystic who uplifts others through presence more than performance. Her connection to Dharma is internalized, and her journey involves sacrificing ego in favor of divine or ancestral purpose. As ninth lord in the 12th, her beliefs may be rooted in ancient traditions, mystical systems, or past life wisdom. Her philosophical compass is shaped by inner solitude, dream symbolism, or exposure to hidden or suppressed knowledge. She may be drawn to monasteries, retreats, or work behind the scenes in spiritual, academic, or healing environments. Drawing from the planets in Nakshatras insights for Sun in Anuradha, karmic leader in spiritual or emotional transformation, soul tied to vows, silent service, or emotionally binding spiritual paths, may carry ancestral pain or mission to complete unresolved dharmic contracts, challenges around invisibility, or sacrificing personal ambition for higher truths. Powerful presence when she trusts her quiet authority and spiritual clarity. Spiritual and emotional highs arise when Callista honors her calling as a hidden light bearer, offering devotion, insight, or sacred work from behind the veil. Lows may surface when her inner radiance feels unacknowledged or when ego struggles to dissolve into purpose. Ultimately, Sun in Anuradha blesses Callista with a sacred, emotionally disciplined, and spiritually dignified identity, empowering her to transmute ego into devotion and to find fulfillment through quiet dharma, mystical alignment, and emotional depth in spiritual service. Mercury in Jyeshta 12th house, Lord of 7th and 10th. Mercury in Jyeshta in Callista's 12th house gives her a deep, strategic, and often secretive intellect, one attuned to emotional undercurrents, subtle power dynamics, and behind-the-scenes communication. As the lord of both the 7th house, partnerships, contracts, and 10th house, career reputation, Mercury here connects her public and relational life to themes of solitude, spiritual reflection, and karmic release. She may be more influential in silence than in speech. Her mind works like a detective's, often seeking the hidden meaning behind what is said. Jyeshta, ruled by Mercury and symbolized by the talisman or protective amulet, is a nakshatra of seniority, psychic discernment, and emotional vigilance. Mercury placed here enhances Callista's mental sharpness with emotional sophistication. She may have a gift for reading between the lines, sensing intentions, or communicating powerfully through minimal means. Her words can protect, expose, or transform depending on her emotional clarity. As 7th Lord in the 12th, partnerships may be spiritually charged or karmically complex. She may attract emotionally intense or private partners, or form relationships through shared service, healing, or retreat spaces. As 10th Lord, her career may revolve around confidential advisory roles, healing arts, esoteric knowledge, or support roles in emotionally intense environments. Drawing from the planets in Nakshatra's insights for Mercury in Jyeshta, karmic intelligence rooted in emotional depth and psychic precision may excel in healing, investigative, or emotionally strategic communication roles. Potential for spiritual contracts in relationships, karmic unions with healing or sacrifice themes. Tendency toward emotional self-silencing if trust is broken or misunderstood. May serve as a quiet guide, counselor, or voice of truth in hidden systems. Mental and emotional highs arise when Callista trusts her insight and allows her subtle voice to guide others, especially in work that involves healing, emotional clarity, or spiritual support. Lows may appear when mental overprocessing or emotional suppression leads to withdrawal or isolation. Ultimately, Mercury in Jyeshta blesses Callista with an emotionally intelligent, karmically perceptive, and mystically communicative mind, empowering her to transmute silence into spiritual insight and to find fulfillment through sacred speech, hidden wisdom, and emotionally attuned mental leadership. Mars in Jyeshta, 12th house, Lord of 5th and 12th. Mars in Jesh in Callista's 12th house channels her drive, logic, and creative willpower into the realms of hidden strength, emotional complexity, and spiritual action. As the ruler of both the 5th house, creativity, romance, intelligence, and the 12th house, isolation, transcendence, spiritual liberation, Mars here is both potent and private, expressing its power not loudly, but through deep psychological energy and karmic purpose. This is the placement of the silent warrior, the emotionally strategic creator, and the passionate dreamer whose force moves beneath the surface. Jyeshta, ruled by Mercury and symbolized by the protective amulet, brings themes of seniority, secrecy, and emotional alertness. Mars here operates with intense precision. Callista may have a mind for emotional pattern recognition and a heart driven to act where others hesitate, especially in spaces involving spiritual protection, emotional healing, or hidden power dynamics. Her courage may be instinctive and sharp, but often masked by quiet observation. As 5th Lord in the 12th, her creativity may thrive in solitude through spiritual art, emotionally charged writing, or behind-the-scenes leadership in emotional or mystical domains. As 12th Lord in its own house, Mars empowers her to work with deep karmic energy, whether in her dreams, rituals, or sacred practices. She may also feel drawn to physical disciplines that integrate spirituality, such as martial arts, yoga, or ritual movement. Drawing from the planets in Nakshatras insights for Mars in Jyeshta, karmic path of emotional mastery through strategic withdrawal and psychic defense, desire to protect sacred knowledge, family secrets, or emotional truth. Strong internal will may prefer acting alone in silence or in spiritually aligned missions. Potential for emotional entanglement in hidden love stories or karmic romantic bonds. Needs clear boundaries to manage energy loss in emotionally intense environments. Logical and emotional highs arise when Callista channels her inner fire into spiritual discipline, creative solitude, or quiet transformation of others. Lows surface when repressed anger, hidden competition, or unresolved emotional intensity leads to inner fragmentation. Ultimately, Mars in Jyeshta blesses Callista with a deeply spiritual, emotionally strategic, and psychically potent logic, empowering her to transmute inner battles into sacred resilience and to find fulfillment through mystical creativity, emotional clarity, and karmic protection of what matters most.